Welcome to PTR, Baler and Compactor.
PTR, Baler and Compactor is a fourth-generation family-owned company. We're here in our Port Richmond facility. In a moment, we'll be taking a trip down to Plant City, Florida to review our operations down there. PTR employs 280 employees. In this facility, we manufacture stationary compactors, self-contained compactors, vertical balers, and vertical compactors, as well as cart dumpers. We're going to take a walk through the lines, really look and dig in to see what separates us from our competition in terms of quality and value. We started actually right down the street in a much smaller facility. This facility is about 120,000 square feet. If you look up on the ceiling, you'll see an overhead crane. For many years, that was the main focus of our business. We built overhead cranes for NASA, the Defense Department. We built the crane that lifts the booster rocket for the space shuttle. So really a tradition of quality, which has really lasted since and started in 1907 and obviously evolves today. Our very strict quality processes were really instituted during the time when we made the overhead cranes, and we've continued that through our recycling equipment today. We now dedicate 100% of our plant to recycling and waste equipment. We sold our crane division in the late 1990s, but that strict quality message and strict quality routine is still followed here every day. This is our side fixture. Basically what you see are the pieces being welded, and they're all jigged and fixtured, and that's a theme that we're going to see throughout the plant. We want to make sure everything's jigged and fixtured so we get that perfect fit every time. Once the pieces are set in place, obviously they're going to be welded. All the welders here at PTR are AWS, American Welding Society certified, which is unique for our industry. We had that standard when we manufactured, as I said before, the overhead cranes, and we've carried that through. So all of our welds are top-notch and obviously are made to last. This is our door assembly. I want to introduce you to Henry. Does a great job with our welding fabrication on the doors. The door is probably the most critical part of the self-contained compactor. We have a full weld around the inside of the door and the outside of the door, and it's completely fixtured here. You can see over here, the door assembly is one piece. So we put the door on and the frame, connect it, and we bring it as a component to the back of the container and weld it together to make sure that we have a full seal all the way around. And that's a very important part, because if you're going to have obviously issues with self-contained compactors, you may have some leaks in the back of the door area, which is something we've alleviated with our design. So you see the self-contained starting to come together. Here's the door mounted to the back of the container. And so as I said, the whole assembly gets welded all the way around. We have a full door seal. It's been a very successful design for us. It's actually a T-seal, so when it closes, the middle is hollow and it forms a really nice seal all the way around the entire container. We also weld the inside and the outside of the container. That's very important. If you're going to have leaks, as I said before, you're either going to get them through the door area or you're going to get them through crevices in the container, which then would cause rust and erosion on the outside of the container. By welding the inside and the outside of the container continuously, we seal that surface all the way around. As you can see here, the wheels, we have oil fittings on all the wheels and all the rollers. And we also have rubber wheels available as an option, which have been very successful for us. Here's the other side of the unit as we're coming up. You can see the welding on the bottom, as I alluded to, continuously welded on the inside and out. Charge box is in the center here. We have a scissor ram in this setup, which obviously the ram protrudes out via a scissor cylinder. Couple things to point out. Our breaker bar runs the entire length of the container. Really brings a lot more stability and strength to the unit. One thing that we talked about was quality control. As these units go through the line, every person has to sign off on their operation. Then that operation is obviously checked by the next person up the line. So we have a very strong inline inspection process, which obviously helps us with our quality and obviously allowing the machine to be perfect when it gets out into the field. This machine over here, that's our water test. So once the unit is welded and ready to go, we'll pump 3,500 gallons of water into the container, and we will lift the back of the machine to put all the weight on that door and that door seal that we just looked at. Once the inspector or the inline inspector goes around and inspects to make sure there's no leaks, machine is lowered, brought down, obviously the water's taken out, and it's moved through the line up through paint, cleaning, and then paint. This is an example of one of our finish units. This is a PT350, a 35-yard self-contained. All PTR compactors are UL and ETL certified. You can see in this case the doghouse is already mounted and the unit's being packed and ready for shipment. One of the things that we like to do here, the plan is do a survey of your location and then have all of the options done here in the factory so it's perfect every time. Once this unit is in this prep area, it'll undergo a final inspection by our quality control manager. Our quality control manager reports directly to me, the president of the company, and we make sure that every unit looks perfect every time. And it's a very thorough, both mechanical and visual inspection. So we have 5 degreed engineers, mechanical engineers on our staff. And those engineers, as we said before, work on a lot of different options. In this case, obviously, depending on what kind of lift system you need, whether the understructure needs, special hoppers, really whatever your application is, we have the engineering capabilities to provide it and make sure the surveys are done correctly and your customers are going to be completely satisfied. So one of the products we talked about in our intro were cart dumpers. And this is our cart dumper, which will go on the back of a 4-yard stationary compactor. And this particular unit will be going to USPS. We've had a couple hundred orders for their distribution centers across the United States. So this cart dumper is made here in-house by PTR and obviously will physically attach to the back of the stationary compactor. We vary in sizes. This is one of our larger units, but we can go all the way down to units that obviously would be made for a retail application as well as an industrial application. So this is one of our stationary compactors, actually a 4-yard unit. And I wanted to look at it unpainted just so you could get an idea of the amount of structural steel which goes into our units as well as the amount of welding. One of the things that's really set us apart from our competition over the years is the use of structural steel. It's very durable. A lot of our competitors use bent plate, which is less expensive, but doesn't necessarily hold up as well over time. In this particular unit, it has an enclosure welded to the top of it. There will be a hood which will go into it, and this will physically attach to an industrial building. This unit has a lot of AR flooring, a lot of extra strength put into the unit. It's a very rugged application. And in this case, actually one of those cart dumpers that we just saw will go on this back end and dump almost continuously into the compactor itself. So very rugged, very durable application. We also have 3/4 yard compactors, 2-yard compactors, more for retail type operations, as well as apartment compactors, TP33, smaller units, and vertical compactors, which would be conducive for front load or rear load trucks. This is our vertical baler line. You can see the start of it here on a conveyor system. These kits will be then moved up through our robotic welding area, which we'll take a look at in a moment. From a baler perspective, we have 30-inch wide models all the way up to 72-inch wide models for a variety of applications, including cardboard, light plastics, etc. One of the things that we're very proud of is that we have all the manufacturing for all of our units done here in the United States. Many of our competitors are outsourcing to China and other areas for many of their options and kits, where everything here is American made and manufactured by American workers.
PTR uses structural steel made in America to ensure consistent quality in the materials that we use so that the product is always built to specification. The ram or platen is one of the most important parts of the unit. It's a heavy structure, as you can see here, tremendous amounts of weld. All of our welding is done by AWS certified welders. The structures are designed to take up to 130 to 150,000 pounds of ram force, and the welding has to equal that. All of our components are built in jigs and fixtures to ensure quality of fit. This is a 7200 door, 7200-8, similar type door, using 5x5 structural tubing to reinforce the plate and to ensure that it can take the stresses, again, at up to 160,000 pounds of ram force. This is a good example of the gate that would be on a 7200. These are gates that we build all the time. Rubber pads so that you can't crush your fingers between the door, top of the door and the gate in the feed area. Nylotron pads that are on the side so you have no metal-to-metal contact and easy glide up and down with the gate. Nylock locking nuts so that the pads can't come off by themselves but easily changed if necessary. Perforated plate so that there's no way that any of the product can come back and engage the operator. So it's a very structurally sound gate, and it also has a lot of protective items on it. The track system that the gate runs in is unistrut slats with bent angles to ensure the quality, again, and consistency. All components are built in fixtures, so they always are identical and always correct. Juan, one of our senior certified welders, is welding the 7200 HD frame, which is done in a fixture welding positioner, which rotates around for the operation. Juan will demonstrate that shortly. By rotating the unit, every weld is done in a flat position, ensuring the deepest penetration and quality of weld. No out-of-position welding is done.
This is our robotic welder. It welds 7 different pieces for us, basically. In this case, it's welding a Baler ram. And interestingly, when we bought this robot about 3 years ago, its position in the floor was all the way at the other end of the plant. One of the things that I think makes our company stronger is getting the ideas of all of our people. We put a lot of quality teams together. What we did was, when we put the quality team together with the men on the floor for the robot, what they told us was the actual location should be right here. That the location that we actually had selected initially was not right because of the flow of the factory. And actually, it was through those ideas and so many thousands of others that really has helped us maintain our leadership position in our industry. This robotic welder can weld a fraction of the time what was taking to weld a lot of our operations for obviously a lot of our manual welders here in the plant.
Once the machine is built, fairly well completed, it goes through a pre-check. The machine's operated several times by a department lead person prior to the quality assurance inspection. Things that will go over is the smooth operation of the gate that operates, as you can see, relatively easy flow up and down. The gate consists of many components. We have a sprocket and a counterweight system to off-weight the tremendous weight of the gate. The gate itself is made out of structural angles, perforated plate, and has Nylotron guides so that they don't wear and we do not have metal-to-metal contact. In addition to that, the swing of the door that we looked at earlier, as you can see, is a very simple operation with little effort to move in and out. This is set up as if it were to ship. All the components are sent inside the machine, so it's a complete unit when it arrives at the customer's site.
This is the final inspection area for our vertical balers. Similar to the compactors, all of our vertical balers are ETL and UL approved. Final inspection process, very similar to what we talked about on the compactor side. QC inspector, after the unit's gone through an inline inspection, our QC inspector comes through, checks all the safeties on the baler, make sure obviously aesthetically it looks great, but also operates safely and normally as it should. It's then stickered and approved for final shipment across the country, usually combined with our compactor shipments and sent anywhere across the United States. This is our shipping area. Variety of units here prepared and ready to go, self-contained stationary compactors. We see about 60 tractor trailer trucks a week coming in, shipping units throughout the United States.
One of the really exciting parts of our business right now is our service expansion. So what we're doing is, obviously, this is our new truck. This has been fully equipped, carrying about $12,000 worth of inventory. This particular truck will leave tomorrow for Miami.
Now let's take a trip down to sunny Florida and look at PTR Plant City operations. Welcome to PTR South. PTR South was opened in June of 2016. It's located in Plant City, Florida, which is directly in between Tampa and Orlando. We currently have a 15,000 square foot facility, which we will be expanding. Current operations in Plant City really revolve around the manufacturing of stationary and self-contained compactors. All the options, guide islands, dog houses, everything are manufactured in Plant City, and we follow the same guidelines that we discussed in Port Richmond. The continuous quality improvement, inline inspection. We're very proud of our move into Florida. It gives us a lot of capabilities to ship throughout the Southeast and throughout the rest of the United States. And we have a very energized and excited workforce down there, which we intend to grow aggressively in the next few years.